The question hung in the air before anyone could breathe. "Did you authorize the transfer?" A beat of silence followed. Clean, sharp, deliberate. Not a cough, not a shuffle. 2 seconds of nothing. And in that nothing, the truth went missing. Judge Celeste Rowan didn't blink. She stared at the courtroom speaker as if it had just lied to her face. Her voice, calm and low, broke the stillness. The record should not forget. Rain tapped against the tall windows. The camera would have pulled back then. The world outside, gray and rinsed. Inside, amber light warmed the wooden benches. Clerk Maya Johnson tested her keyboard. The faint hum of the heater mixed with the soft murmur of shoes on marble. It was another morning in federal court. Yet, everyone felt something slightly off, like a clock running one beat behind. Prosecutor Nora Valdez stood by her table, arranging color-coded folders with precise hands. Across the aisle, defense attorney Andre Patel adjusted his tie and checked a leather folder, his reflection trembling in the polished surface. When Judge Rowan entered, the room quietly realigned itself. She didn't need a gavel to command order. The air obeyed first. Maya read from the docket. Case 19. Motion to review transcript. Patel rose. His shoes squeaked softly on the floor. Your Honor, the defense presents 2 certified transcripts from the same hearing. Same date, same reporter. He lifted both pages toward the light. Yet one reads, I did authorize it, and though it waksam now samadisat, deorsat, also. Ismauser, I did not authorize it. The words hung there, one letter, one breath apart, yet worlds of meaning between them. Nora looked up, skeptical. Probably a typo. Draft versions circulate all the time. Patel's reply was quiet, but firm. When someone swears an oath, there's no such thing as a harmless typo. Rowan leaned forward slightly. Her eyes moved from Patel to Nora, then to the clerk. Who prepared these? Kochansky, court reporter, Maya said. Both filed under his certification. Judge Rowan placed the 2 pages side by side. The ink, the spacing, the seals, identical. Except for the word that vanished like a breath, erased from memory. She ran a finger beneath the contested line. Play the recording. Patel connected the device. A faint hiss filled the room, followed by the voice of the witness. Did you authorize the transfer? Then again, that silence. Perfectly measured. 2 seconds long. The gallery went still. Even the ceiling fan hesitated. Rowan's gaze didn't move from the speaker. Mr. Patel, she said softly, the record and the memory disagree. One of them must lie. Outside, thunder rolled faintly across the wet sky. Inside, it was the sound of law tightening its grip. Rowan placed both transcripts back on the bench, her tone unhurried but final. We'll clarify it here. Today. Her hand rested on the gavel, not to strike, but to steady the truth that was trembling beneath it. The speaker clicked. The gap was still there. Rain ticked against the tall windows. Judge Rowan gave Maya a small nod. The clerk rose and faced the room with steady calm. Your Honor, the process is standard, Maya said. We capture full audio, the reporter drafts a rough, cross-checks are done, then the final transcript is certified and filed. The certified version is the official record. It must be exact. Rowan turned to the gallery. Think of it as the court's black box. Her tone was even. It doesn't get to forget. Prosecutor Nora Valdez stood. No dispute about procedure, only motive. Who gains by removing a single word? If there's no benefit, there's no story. Just a technical blip. She glanced at the defense. And there's no proof of a human hand. Defense attorney Andre Patel answered, calm and clipped. One word can flip an oath. I did versus I did not changes everything. That's not a smudge, that's a reversal. Rowan nodded once. Call the court reporter. Robert Kochanski stepped forward, pressed shirt, measured posture, eyes level. Robert Kochanski, court reporter. Rowan asked, "Did you access the file after submission?" He kept his gaze on the bench. "I submit through the CAT system. Once it's filed, I don't revise. If I reopen, it's for routine checks, spelling, page breaks. Any edits would generate a new version." "What software?" Maya asked. "Standard CAT with autosave. The workstation syncs to the server at intervals. There's an activity log." Rowan rested a fingertip on the gavel's handle. "We'll look at the log, not faces." She turned to Maya. "Pull creation time, signature time, and all logins since submission." Maya worked the keyboard. Green lines rolled across the monitor. "Certified file shows submission at 16:03. The reporter's handwritten sign-off is 14:58. Nora lifted a brow. "Clock drift is common. Local workstation time can diverge from the server." "Possible," Maya said. "There's also a login at 15:41 from RK Court. Session lasted 7 minutes. Activity registered as open check save. That could be a routine check." She paused. "Note: the CAT vendor sometimes creates shadow files during autosave. Those can inherit a certified header if a template is misapplied." Rowan kept her voice neutral. "What about shared access?" Maya scrolled. "The RK Court account is tied to the reporter, but some stations are shared. I can use a service account to push backups or apply patches. Those appear in the log as the user who's signed in." Patel spoke quietly. "So we have 3 explanations. Simple time drift, a shadow file from autosave, or a human check that touched the certified file. And a 4th, Nora added, a server-side backup that restamped a timestamp. None implies tampering." Rowan returned her focus to facts. "Mr. Kochanski, do you maintain a rough draft, the certified transcript, and the raw audio?" "Yes, Your Honor. Rough is local. Certified is synced. Raw audio is mirrored to the server." "Preserve all 3, Rowan said. "From this moment, nothing moves without an order." "Clerk?" "Preservation order prepared," Maya said, printing a single page and tagging the folder with a red clip. Nora stepped to the lectern. "Your Honor, in the absence of motive or benefit, we ask the court to treat this as a technical discrepancy pending verification. We shouldn't cast suspicion on an officer of the court without a basis." Patel didn't bite. "No accusations, just verification. The 2-second hole sits exactly where the oath turns." Rowan tapped the gavel once against the block. "Not a strike, a signal. We'll test the system, not the people. Forensic imaging of the reporter's workstation and the relevant server shares. Chain of custody begins now." She looked at Kochanski. "You'll provide the device and cooperate with IT. If there's an autosave shadow or a template issue, we'll see it in the artifacts." He answered evenly. "Yes, Your Honor." Maya handed the order to the bailiff. The room breathed in, then held. On the tables, pens rested. The tension lived in the facts, not in anyone's face. Rowan aligned the 2 transcripts side by side. The lamp cut a thin gold edge along the contested line. "Counsel, you both raised motive. The court is not interested in theories. We're interested in process." She slid her palm back. "If the process is clean, the record stands. If the process is not, the record will be corrected." Nora spoke once more. "For completeness, we'll ask to hear from IT about shared stations and scheduled backups." "You will," Rowan said. "We'll take testimony from IT and, if necessary, the vendor. We'll also compare hashes for the rough, certified, and any shadow files. No conclusions today." Patel gestured to the audio device. "And the 2-second gap?" Rowan looked to Maya. "Mark the time code. We'll audit the raw waveform against the certified track. If a noise-clean filter ate a cough spike, It will show in the spectral view. Maya noted the time. Marked. Rowan's voice stayed calm, almost quiet. We rely on systems because memory fails, but the court's black box doesn't get to fail where it matters. She lifted her eyes to the gallery. We will listen again. We will check the logs. We will reconstruct what happened, frame by frame, second by second. Rain softened. The curtains stilled. Order filled the space like air returning to a room after a held breath. Nothing is decided, Rowan said. Everything is preserved. She set the gavel down. The record will speak when the process is done. Two voices rose at once. Your Honor, Nora said, there is no evidence the audio was cut. Patel answered, there is evidence of silence. Rowan set both hands on the bench. We'll examine the silence. Limited hearing. Scope is the 2 seconds. The words seemed to slow the air. Even the clock on the wall hesitated. Maya read the scope in plain English. Source files, chain of custody, device imaging already ordered, and a neutral examiner to compare the certified track with the raw capture. No theories. Only process. The audio specialist entered, took the oath, and faced the courtroom monitor. Method. Briefly, Rowan said. I align the files, he replied. I look for discontinuities, room tone drops, hard edges, phase breaks. Filters tend to smooth, human edits tend to leave seams. Proceed. 2 bands filled the screen, raw on top, certified below. He scrubbed to the mark. Did you authorize the transfer? On the raw file, a cough snapped the room tone, then a hole. 2 seconds of nothing. On the certified file, the cough and the gap were gone. The track jumped to the next speaker as if those seconds never happened. Findings? Rowan asked. The certified file has a hard-edged skip, he said. Consistent with a splice. A filter can damage speech, but it usually leaves a tail. I don't see one here. A faint electric hum filled the pause, the kind that only comes when everyone's afraid to move. Nora stepped to the lectern. Can you rule out machine error? No, he said. I can only state what's present, a square jump at the exact time code. So, Patel said, likely human. Likely splice, the specialist answered. Cause undetermined. Possible causes, Rowan said. 4 common ones. Clock drift with restamp, autosave shadow flagged by the wrong template, a server backup collision, or a manual cut. Rowan nodded once. We will hear from IT and, if necessary, the vendor. She turned to the bailiff. Recall Ms. Doyle. Karen Doyle entered, was sworn, and sat at the witness stand. Cool light from the monitor brushed her face. The rest of the room held to a warm gold. Ms. Doyle, Rowan said, this is narrow. Did you authorize the transfer? I understand, Doyle said. Play the raw capture, Rowan told Maya. The question came again. Did you authorize the transfer? The cough cracked the ambient tone, then silence. 2 seconds of it. No answer recorded. Patel approached the lectern. Do you recall your answer, Ms. Doyle? I tried to be precise, she said. I was asked many questions quickly. Did you say, I did authorize it? I don't believe I said that. Did you say, I did not authorize it? I intended to make clear I did not personally sign. Rowan's voice cut gently. Counsel, do not demand a quote that isn't on the record. Patel nodded. Then in substance, did you authorize the transfer in any way? I did not personally authorize it, Doyle said. Nora rose. Your Honor, the phrasing matters. It does, Rowan said. We will keep verbs exact. Play the certified track at the same time code, Rowan added. The certified file rolled, skipped the cough, and leapt over the gap. A clerk's voice picked up on exhibit numbers, clean, indifferent. "Same hard edge," the specialist said. "Noted," Rowan answered. Nora addressed the bench. With the disputed sentence out, the state asks that the rest of Ms. Doyle's testimony remain intact. "It remains," Rowan said. "Reliable portions stand. The disputed line is set aside pending verification." Patel said, "The defense requests the noise-clean settings used in certification and any plugins." "You'll have them," Rowan said. "Hash values for raw, rough, certified, and any shadow files. Include settings, templates, and macros." Rowan looked back to Doyle. "You remain under subpoena. You may step down." Doyle rose. She hesitated at the rail. Light from the window touched her hair, then withdrew, as if the day itself wanted distance. She left the stand without another word. Rowan faced the specialist. "Provide a written summary with labeled screenshots and time codes. Deliver to the clerk by end of day." "Yes, Your Honor." Maya made a note. The lamp cut a thin gold edge along the page. The monitor cast a pale blue wash across counsel's faces. Warm versus cool. Human versus machine. Nora said, "We request IT tomorrow on shared stations and backup schedules." "Granted," Rowan said. "We stay on process. No motive." Patel gestured toward the transcripts. "And the certificate header?" "Certified except as to the disputed line," Rowan said. "That line is not part of the record until the process is verified." Maya marked the docket. Paper whispered, then settled. "Play the raw once more," Rowan said. 5 seconds before and after." The sound rolled. Question, cough, room tone, silence. Then the next voice. No stutter, no tail, only the gap. Rowan spoke to the room. "We all rely on systems. The court relies on proof. If a filter ate speech, we'll see it. If a template stamped a shadow file, we'll see it. If a hand cut the tape, we'll see that too." Nora added, "If it was drift or a backup collision, that will surface as well." "It will," Rowan said. "That is why we preserve first and question second." The specialist closed his notebook. "I'll need the workstation image and the server share." "You'll have both," Rowan said. "Chain of custody is already in place." Patel asked, "May we inquire outside this hearing about templates or hotkeys that could trigger a splice?" "Outside this hearing," Rowan said. "Today is waveform and preservation. Tomorrow is IT and workflow." "Understood," Nora said. Rowan aligned the 2 transcripts and let the gold lamp line find the contested sentence. "Counsel, neither side will argue intent in this room. Not yet. You will argue process. If the process is clean, the record stands. If it is not, the record will be corrected, and any consequences follow in the proper forum." She paused. The gallery stayed still. "Court remains in limited session tomorrow at 9, Rowan said. "We'll hear IT on access logs, shared stations, and scheduled jobs. The examiner's report will be part of that record." A breath moved through the room like a tide returning after weather. "Until then," she said, "nothing moves. No one touches the files." The gavel touched wood, once soft, like a timecode mark. The silence that followed felt earned. "Did you authorize the transfer?" A cough, a bend in the room tone. Then nothing. Karen Doyle kept her eyes on the microphone, as if it might return what she'd said. The courtroom waited. Judge Rowan's voice stayed level. "You are not required to reconstruct a perfect quote, Ms. Doyle, only to be honest about what you remember." "I am not sure," Doyle said. "We'll work with that." Defense attorney Andre Patel stepped to the lectern. "In substance, did you authorize the transfer?" "I did not personally authorize it." "Personally," Patel repeated. Did anyone act with your approval? I told our controller to prepare documentation so the CFO could review. That is procedure. I did not sign or give final authorization. Patel lifted a printed page. Ms. Doyle, an email from you, 2 months before the hearing. Please read the highlighted line. Doyle scanned, then spoke. I approved it under pressure. Your words? Yes. Sent to the controller? Yes. Pressure from whom? Vendors and deadlines, she said. Poor phrasing. Poor phrasing or approval? Prosecutor Nora Valdez rose. Context matters, Your Honor. The email is about pre-authorization to assemble paperwork, not a green light to move funds. Rowan raised a hand. Counsel, verbs before adjectives. Ms. Doyle, when you wrote, I approved it under pressure, what precisely did you intend to approve? The preparation, not the transfer. Patel kept his tone flat. You did not write I approved preparation. You wrote I approved it. Why? I write quickly, Doyle said. Our team understands shorthand. The court does not, Patel said. In your role, words move money. Rowan interjected, clean and brief. She cannot testify to exact words not captured by the record. She can testify to intention and practice. Stay in that lane. Patel nodded. In your department, does I approved it usually mean final authorization? In casual email, it can mean approved proceeding, not final sign-off. When you intend final authorization, what do you write? Approved to execute with the signature route. You did not write that here. No. Thank you. Nora approached. Policy question. Could a controller execute a transfer without CFO sign-off? No. Policy forbids it. Could the controller read, I approved it under pressure as permission to finalize? They should not. And if they did, it would be corrected. So the workflow requires a step beyond you. Yes. Nora looked to the bench. Sloppy, not sinister. The process itself prevents unilateral action. Process prevents it, Patel said, until someone leans on it. That is why approvals must be precise. Rowan did not raise her voice. Both points are noted. She turned to Maya. Play the certified track again at the mark. Lower volume. The question rolled out. The cough snapped the room tone. The 2-second hole opened and closed. The expert earlier had called it a hard edge. To the ear, it felt like a door without a handle. Rowan leaned a fraction forward. Ms. Doyle, if the certified record cannot tell the court what you said, the court will not invent it. We will rely on the raw audio, the process evidence, and your clear testimony about policy. Doyle nodded. Understood. Do you feel pressured now? I feel the weight of my role. Good. Roles carry weight. So do verbs. Maya slid up the printout with the header chain. Rowan confirmed the date and addresses. This email predates the hearing, Rowan said. It does not replace sworn testimony. It may, however, bear on credibility if it conflicts with policy and practice. On that point, Nora said, policy is unambiguous. Which is why policy stays in, Rowan replied, and the disputed sentence stays out pending verification. Rowan looked back to Doyle. You remain under subpoena. You may step down. Doyle stood. At the rail, she paused, then let go and left the stand. Rowan addressed both tables. The court acknowledges uncertainty. It does not punish it. We correct the record by evidence, not by guesses. We still have a gap. She kept the close short. Tomorrow we hear IT. Bring questions on logs, shared stations, backups, templates, and filters. Leave motive at the door. The gavel did not fall. It didn't need to. The room understood and kept the pause. The morning session resumed with the same stillness that had closed the day before. Karen Doyle took the stand again. The monitor glowed faintly behind her like a watchful eye. Nora Valdez stood at the lectern. "Ms. Doyle, you've testified that you did not personally authorize the transfer. Let's stay with that phrase." "Yes," Doyle said. "You never said you personally signed it, correct?" "I never said I personally signed," Doyle replied. The air thickened. Even the court reporter's keys slowed. Everyone knew what that kind of sentence was. A linguistic shield. Technically true. Functionally evasive. Judge Rowan's brow tightened, not in anger but in recognition. She had seen this game before, the chess match between precision and candor. "Counsel," Rowan said, "you may proceed, but keep the witness within factual ground." Nora nodded. "Ms. Doyle, I want to be exact. Did you ever tell anyone in your company that you authorized that transfer?" "I don't recall using that wording." "Did you ever imply it?" "I don't recall implying it." Nora took a step closer. "So you neither said nor implied you authorized it. But you knew after that email that the transfer went forward." "Yes," Doyle said quietly. "But approval and awareness aren't the same." Patel rose. "Objection. Compound assumption." "Sustained," Rowan said. "Counsel, rephrase." Nora tried again. "When you learned the transfer happened, did you correct the record to clarify that you hadn't authorized it?" "No," Doyle said, "because at that point the money was already moved." "Which means," Nora pressed, "your silence allowed the appearance of authorization to remain." Patel cut in, calm but sharp. "And silence is not perjury, unless the oath covers the silence itself." Rowan's gaze turned toward him, then to the room. "Mr. Patel, you just invoked the doctrine before I could." She faced the witness. "Ms. Doyle, you may step down for a moment." Doyle looked uncertain but obeyed. The bailiff guided her to the side bench. Rowan turned to both tables. "We are now discussing the Bronston Doctrine. Let the record reflect this." Maya's fingers moved quickly. The court's rhythm resumed. Rowan spoke to the gallery, her tone instructional but not detached. "Under Bronston v. United States, a witness who answers literally true but evasively is not guilty of perjury. The burden falls on counsel to expose the evasion through precise questioning. The court will not punish ambiguity. It will require clarity." She turned to Nora. "You may continue your examination, but precision is your responsibility, not the witness's." Nora inclined her head. "Understood, Your Honor." Rowan glanced at Patel. "Mr. Patel, you'll have opportunity to cross once this round is complete." Patel nodded once, taking notes. Doyle returned to the stand, posture straighter, tone guarded. Nora resumed. "Ms. Doyle, we've heard your literal truth. Now I'll ask for plain meaning. Did you in any capacity approve that transfer?" "I did not personally authorize it," Doyle repeated. "I didn't ask about personal authorization. I asked whether you approved it in any capacity." Doyle's breath caught. "I acknowledged the need for it. That's not the same as approval." "It's not the same wording," Doyle said, "but it meant the same thing operationally." "So, in practice, your acknowledgement signaled approval," Nora said. Doyle paused. "It signaled understanding." Rowan raised a hand. "Stop there. Counsel, when you switch verbs, you shift meaning. The question must use the witness's own framework." Nora exhaled through her nose, adjusted her stance, and asked again. "When you said you understood the transfer, did anyone interpret that as authorization?" "It's possible," Doyle said, "but that wasn't my intent." "Thank you," Rowan said. "That's the distinction the doctrine protects. the line between intent and inference. Patel stood. Your Honor, the defense requests a limited second cross to clarify the witness's operational terminology. Her language appears deliberately layered. Granted, Rowan said. Make it concise. Patel walked closer, not confrontational but deliberate. Ms. Doyle, do you ever train new staff on how to phrase authorizations? Yes. Do you tell them to use, I approved it, casually? No. So you knew the power of that phrasing? Yes. And yet you used it. In writing. I did, Doyle said softly. Patel's tone softened too. Why? Habit, speed, the workload? And maybe because I didn't think anyone would question it. Patel let the silence breathe before his next line. And now you're being questioned. Yes, she said. He closed his notebook. No further questions. Rowan leaned back slightly, eyes steady on the witness. Language is a fortress, she said quietly, but sometimes it hides the battlefield. Doyle didn't respond. Rowan addressed both counsel. The Bronston Rule does not excuse vague answers, it limits punishment for them. What it demands is sharper questioning. Counsel, refine your lines. The truth here depends on your precision. Nora said, The state requests the transcript of today's exchange to be appended for reference in the perjury review. Approved, Rowan said. Clerk, mark it accordingly. Maya typed, the rhythmic tapping like a small metronome. Rowan turned to Doyle. You remain under subpoena. Tomorrow's hearing will move to technical testimony from IT. You are excused for today. Doyle rose, shoulders drawn but not bowed. She left the stand as the rain outside softened to a steady rhythm. Rowan watched her go, then looked back at the two counsel tables. Let this serve as a reminder, she said, that the court listens not only to what is said, but to what is meant, and to the distance between the two. She paused. The gavel touched wood once, soft as a comma. We continue tomorrow. Maya shut the records room door and rolled the cart to a workstation. No speech, no audience. She put on headphones and cued the raw capture at the marked time code. Question. Cough. The room tone dipped, then the gap. 2 seconds of engineered nothing. She split the screen. Raw spectrum on the left. Certified on the right. On raw, the cough rose like a thin pillar. On certified, the pillar was shaved flat and the track jumped forward, a square edge where sound should fade. Not a cough yet, she said under her breath. A sneeze the record decided to clean. She went straight to the server logs. No summaries, no dashboards, just the scroll. Back up at 21 way, indexing at 2130. Then 2241, user RK court, WS3, session start, 2243. Access, certified file, open check, 2247. Access, certified file, save close, 2248. Session end, after hours. Not a service account. A user session with the reporter's credentials on a shared station. Maya checked the workstation map. WS3, 2 doors down. Shared desk. Few people could log in as RK Court. Fewer should. She mirrored the log beside the spectrum and aligned the cursors. The cough in raw, the save event in the log. The times met like 2 trains at the same platform. Okay. She printed the log strip and 2 spectrogram frames, 10 seconds around the gap, raw and certified. On the top page, she wrote in small, neat letters, preliminary, no conclusions. She powered down the screen and rolled the cart back out. In chambers, Judge Rowan stood by the window. The afternoon light drew a thin band across the gray carpet and caught the silver in her hair. Maya placed the stapled sets on the table. Preliminary logs and spectrum. There's a late session at 2241. Reporter credentials, shared station. 4 minutes on the certified file. Rowan didn't sit. Any sign of a scheduled job? No. It looks manual. Could be the reporter, Rowan said. Could be someone on his profile. Yes, Maya said. It can confirm device ID and keystroke artifacts. The time aligns with the 2-second gap. Rowan reviewed the pages, one pass each. We don't accuse the person, she said. We test the process. Understood. Seal these to chambers, Rowan added. Request imaging of station WS3 domain authentication logs for that window and any template updates the vendor pushed this month. Maya noted the items. On it. Rowan rested a palm on the packet. When the record sneezes, we run a test. Bless you can wait, Maya said. Process can't. Maya turned to go, then stopped. If this holds, it touches a colleague. Not proof. Close enough to burn. Rowan met her eyes. We protect the record first, then we protect the people who serve it by telling the truth about what the record shows. Maya nodded. She sealed the packet, clipped it red, and signed the chain line at the clerk's desk. The corridor back to the floor felt longer than before. She dropped the envelope into the secure bin and turned the key. The lock clicked. She stood a moment with her hand on the lid, thinking about the login line. RK Court, 2241, and the way a single credential can open a door no one should walk through alone. If that door led to someone she worked with every day, she would still have to follow it. Protect the record first, then protect the people by being exact. Call the limited hearing, Judge Rowan said. We are on process. The IT administrator was sworn. Rowan kept it brisk. Summarize what the system shows. WS3 is a shared station, he said. Local login by user RK Court at 2241. No scheduled job. Keyboard and mouse input. The certified file was opened, checked, saved, and closed within 4 minutes. Clock drift? Nora asked. Not for 40-plus minutes, he said. Backups? Patel asked. Backups don't open and save the certified file, he said. Rowan nodded. Stand by. Recall Mr. Kochansky. The court reporter took the oath and faced the bench. Mr. Kochansky, Rowan said, did you open the certified transcript after submission? He measured his words. I may have opened it after hours for spelling or pagination. If I did, it was routine. No content edits. Was that your login at 2241 on WS3? It would be my credentials, he said. I sometimes use that station when the main desk is busy. Did anyone else use your credentials? They should not, he said. But WS3 is shared. Nora rose. Could a spelling or pagination check remove 2 seconds of audio or drop the word not from a line? No, he said. Those processes don't alter audio or words. Patel asked, could a misapplied template or macro stamp a shadow file as certified and overwrite a segment? It shouldn't. If it did, that would be a vendor issue, not a user choice. Rowan lifted a hand. We are not arguing motive. We are analyzing duties. She glanced to Maya. Mark the witness under reminder of candor. Rowan addressed the room. Rule 3.3. Candor to the tribunal. In plain terms, if you know the record is wrong, you don't stay quiet. You take steps to correct it. That applies to lawyers and to officers of the court whose work becomes the record. Silence settled. Nora looked down at her notes. Patel's pen paused. Rowan turned back to the IT admin. Anything else from imaging? One more detail, he said. WS3 has a detachable keyboard. One macro key is bound to clean and resume. If pressed at the wrong moment, it could cut a short interval and skip forward. The image shows that macro present. Document it, Rowan said. Include a photo and the macro map. She faced Kochansky again. Do you use filters when finalizing? I don't, he said. Templates might run a default noise clean. Would you know? Only by checking the settings, he said. Then check them, Rowan said. Under oath. Rowan drew a breath and consolidated the room with her voice. Orders of the court, she said. Effective now. 1. The entire recording system for this case is sealed. Raw inputs, rough drafts, certified outputs, workstations, servers, templates, macros. No updates, no changes, no file movement without court permission. 2. Forensic imaging expands to include Mr. Kochansky's primary workstation and any portable media used for this case. 3. The vendor will produce, today, default profiles, macro lists, and patch notes for the last month, especially any changes to cough noise cleaning. 4. Mr. Kochansky will file an affidavit by 5 p.m. describing his process, any after-hours access, template behavior, and what he finds in the settings. If a template or macro could have triggered a splice, say so. Under oath. 5. IT will deliver the keyboard macro map and authentication logs for the relevant window. If the macro key is active by default, show how and when. She handed the written order to Maya. The bailiff distributed copies to counsel and IT. Rowan looked to Nora. Ms. Valdez, the state's candor duty is continuous. If you learn the transcript is materially wrong, you must correct it. Nora met her gaze. Understood. Mr. Patel, Rowan said, the same duty binds you. If your copy misleads, you correct it. Yes, Your Honor, he said. Rowan returned to the witness. Mr. Kochansky, this is not about blame. It is about accuracy. The court's memory cannot be left to chance settings and tired habits. I understand, he said. Good, Rowan said. Then help us clean the process. The IT administrator added, we can confirm whether that macro key was pressed in the 2241 session. Keystroke artifacts may show it. Include that in your report, Rowan said. She scanned both tables. Tomorrow at 9, we'll hear from IT on macro bindings and from the examiner on the overlay of raw versus certified, with template behavior accounted for. The witness remains under subpoena. Counsel will keep questions on process. No speculation on motive in this room. Rowan let the pause run just long enough to become a thought. Candor is not a style, she said. It is a spine. Nora remained quiet. Patel looked down. The pressure moved through the room without anyone raising a voice. Rowan closed the loop. This court means what it says. We preserve first, we test second, and we correct the record when proof requires it. She lifted her eyes to the gallery, then back to the tables. Knowing it's wrong and staying silent is complicity. The gavel touched wood, one soft beat. The examiner returned with a slim binder. He was sworn, then went straight to the point. Overlay of raw versus certified at the marked time code, he said. The certified track shows a hard discontinuity. No decay tail, no room tone feathering. The raw file shows a cough and normal ambience. In plain terms, an edit. Cause undetermined. It could be a macro-triggered cut or a manual splice. Noted, Judge Rowan said. She turned to Maya. Mark the disputed sentence removed from the certified transcript for purposes of the main case. Maya typed. The docket accepted the change. Rowan addressed the room. On this preliminary record, the court finds prima facie tampering. The certified transcript is unreliable as to that line. She faced the examiner again. Anything further we must consider now? One item. Vendor notes indicate a recent patch that flags cough spikes aggressively. A macro labeled clean and resume could, if pressed near a spike, drop a short interval and jump forward. It would still be a human trigger. Include that in your report, Rowan said. She shifted to procedure. Here is how we proceed. The main case continues without the disputed sentence. The transcript remains certified except as to that line. It will not be quoted or paraphrased. This matter now separates into two limited tracks. 1. A tampering hearing to determine what altered the certified record and by whom or by what process. 2. A perjury review, opened if warranted to assess whether Ms. Doyle's sworn testimony is false in substance when measured against policy, practice, and any reliable record. Rowan glanced at the witness stand, then back to the tables. Ms. Doyle remains under subpoena. She will be recalled in the main case for limited questioning on policy and practice. Nora started to rise, but Rowan kept it moving. Scope questions can wait. The orders are clear. Rowan signed a short order while she spoke. Deadlines. Within 10 days, the examiner files a complete report with images, hash values, and a template behavior appendix. Mr. Kokansky files an updated affidavit on settings, any macro bindings, any after-hours access, and any vendor interactions. IT files authentication logs for WS3 and a statement on default macro states. And the vendor produces patch notes and default profiles for the last 30 days. She looked to Maya. Update the docket and create 2 subfiles, in RE transcript tampering and in re Doyle, perjury review, both cross-referenced to the main case. Done, Maya said. Rowan kept the orders consolidated. Effective now, the recording system for this case remains sealed. Raw inputs, rough drafts, certified outputs, workstations, servers, templates, and macros. No updates, no changes. No file movement without court permission. Forensic imaging expands to Mr. Kochansky's primary workstation and any portable media used for this case. The vendor will produce default profiles, macro lists, and recent patch notes, especially anything touching cough noise cleaning. IT will deliver a keyboard macro map and authentication logs for the 2241 window at WS3. She turned back to the examiner. Provide counsel the overlay today and file your preliminary as an exhibit in the tampering track. Will do, he said. Rowan faced both counsel. With the disputed line out, counsel will adjust their theories accordingly. Patel nodded. Nora did too. Rowan's tone remained even. The court's aim is simple. A clean record. We will not guess at words we cannot hear. We will not proceed as if we do not know what we now know. She paused, not for drama, but for alignment. A just verdict begins with a clean transcript. No amplification was needed. The sentence carried by itself. Rowan summarized the path forward. The main case proceeds on what is reliable. The tampering track will resolve process and provenance. If the findings show a benign cause, the record will be corrected accordingly. If they show a splice, macro-triggered or manual, the court will say so and act accordingly. The perjury review, if opened, will apply Bronston. Literal answers that mislead are corrected by precise questions. Intent is reached only on clear language, policy, and corroborated steps. She looked to Maya again. Calendar Ms. Doyle's recall at the next available date for limited questions on practice and policy. Questions about intent or exact words belong to the perjury review and will wait until process findings are complete. Calendar updated, Maya said. Rowan closed the binder and set it aside. 10 days. Reports and affidavits on the schedule announced. The limited hearing is adjourned for today. Court will reconvene on the main calendar. Before the bailiff could speak, Rowan added one final line to anchor the ethic that had guided the morning. Knowing it's wrong and staying silent is complicity. The gavel touched wood. a single soft beat. The room was already quiet when Judge Rowan took the bench. Not the quiet of waiting, of wait. She didn't recap. She didn't rehearse. She looked at the paper in front of her as if it were a scale. Entry of order. Maya's keystroke was soft, final. A draft slipped under the doors. Curtains moved a fraction and held. Someone inhaled and didn't finish the breath. Rowan closed the folder and set both hands flat on the bench. The record remembers what pride forgets. That was the center. The room found it and stopped moving. No stir from counsel. Nora's pen lay still. Patel's legal pad shut itself with the weight of his palm. Kochanski kept his eyes on the grain of the table, then lifted them to meet the bench and held. Gold light from the lamp traced a rim along the order, then ran across the aisle and climbed Karen Doyle's face. It held there, half light, half shadow, not confession, gravity. If apology has a posture, it looks like that. Rowan did not study the witness. She studied the system, state, defense, clerk, reporter, IT, people who only work when they refuse to lie to themselves. Counsel, she said, not loud, adjust your theories accordingly. Maya set the seal. The red clip bit through paper. The sound was small and exact. Outside, wind pressed once against the glass and let go. Rowan looked once more at the order, then at the room that would now have to live with it. One strike. The gavel found wood. Dry. Clean. Enough. Silence deepened, not absence, but shape. The sound traveled the benches, reached the doors, and fell to the floor like a coin that would not bounce. The bailiff called recess. The spell didn't break. It simply widened so people could move inside it. Chairs slid back, coats gathered, voices tested themselves at a lower register. No one wanted to be first out of the gravity well. Doyle stayed seated a moment longer. The rim light shifted with a passerby and left her in even tone. She rose without papers and stepped into the aisle. No left, no right. Forward. Nora gathered her folders, then paused, as if half a sentence had occurred and decided not to be said. Patel waited, watching the doorway like a timeline he couldn't rush. Kochanski stood last among them, hands to his sides, as if learning how to carry them. Maya stacked the signed pages, locked the clip, logged the time. A clerk's craft is punctuation. Periods where they belong, not where they are convenient. Rowan left the bench. The doors opened on cue. Her steps made a measured rhythm, heel, leather, stone, that didn't ask for attention and got it anyway. Not volume, authority. In the gallery, someone finally exhaled. The curtains settled back to their thin, obedient line. The microphone blinked once and went dark, like a witness released. At the threshold, Rowan paused. No flourish, only habit, then continued down the corridor. The hallway returned her steps with a quiet echo, the kind that keeps pace rather than answers. Maya watched her go, then looked toward the empty witness stand. The chair kept its own memory. The air above it did, too. Outside, the weather held. Inside, the room arranged itself around what would happen next. 10 days, reports, a record to be tested until it told the truth without help. If it were your bench, and you knew the record had been touched, would you keep it, trusting the process to wash it clean, or strike it until it proved itself? The door eased shut on the question. The answer, for now, was the stillness. The hallway kept the day's last light, stone underfoot, brass along the walls. Judge Rowan walked the center line, her steps measured enough to teach the floor a rhythm. Maya followed, a pace behind, carrying the sealed packet. At the far end, A single window framed a pale rain. Rowan stopped, gaze fixed beyond the glass. "No one wins," she said quietly. "Only the truth survives another day." The words hung there as soft as the weather outside. They turned toward Chambers. On the desk waited a white envelope, the preliminary overlay from the examiner, unopened. The lamp cast a small circle of gold around it. Patient, waiting. Rowan rested a hand on the chair but didn't sit. Justice is quiet when it's done right. Maya set the sealed packet beside the envelope. "Tomorrow," she said, "we re-record the truth." Rowan nodded. Nothing more. Maya dimmed the lights. The room fell into warm silence, the kind that listens rather than speaks. Outside, rain thinned to silver threads sliding down the glass. The camera would have backed away now, slow, steady, letting the frame widen until judge, clerk, and desk became part of the corridor's geometry. The echo of footsteps softened behind the closing door. A white envelope on the desk caught the lamplight, its edges gold, its contents still unknown. The air seemed to hold its breath around it. Beyond the glass, the city glimmered faintly, some lights steady, some flickering, each one a version of truth, surviving the night. If you were Rowan, and the record had been touched, would you keep it, trusting it to heal itself, or strike it until it proved it could be clean? The door eased toward its latch. The echo lingered longer than sound should. Then the lamp clicked once, and the day was done.
The corridors keep their sound longer than people think. A gavel's echo can live in stone for hours. Today I learned again that truth does not arrive on command. It waits, patient, unshaken, until someone is willing to face it without armor. A record is supposed to remember for us. But memory too can be edited. The danger isn't only in what was cut. It's in what we choose to leave unquestioned. There was no villain today, just a series of hands, all believing they were cleaning something small. But justice is never small. Every keystroke, every silence, every word we sign becomes the air someone else must breathe tomorrow. So we test, we verify, we correct. That is how truth survives another day. And when the sound finally fades, may the room be still, because it has nothing left to hide.